What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we're here with another Jimmy Rants episode. I'm really excited to talk about this topic here today because so many people like to look at the various benefits that come from being on a ketogenic diet. And the first benefit that a lot of people tend to gravitate towards is weight loss. But I want to talk about one of the more underappreciated benefits that comes from being keto, because ketosis isn't just about weight loss. Ketosis isn't just about fuel. Ketosis isn't just about disease prevention. It's not about all of the things, solely about all the things that people typically think about when they think of a ketogenic diet. I think the least appreciated benefit of going keto is the lack of hunger, the lack of cravings, the lack of any of the typical things that you have when you go on a diet. And so when you're completely satisfied by the food you're consuming, you're able to not have any hunger at all for hours upon hours upon hours between meals. You're able to spontaneously start intermittent fasting without even thinking about it. All of those things are clear signs of what I talked about in my book, Keto Clarity, as your keto fitness level. And so people often say, well, I went keto and I was constantly hungry, constantly having to eat. And my response back to those people is, unless you have some gut bug of some sort that's totally taken over your appetite, you're either not eating enough fat or you're not actually in a state of nutritional ketosis. So you can test for those things. You can see where you are in your state of ketosis. But let's assume you are eating keto. You should be feeling incredibly satisfied after you're done eating. And so you don't have to stuff yourself. You don't have to feel like you have to eat a whole lot of food, because you'll feel nutriently dense in the foods that you're eating. You'll be able to feel that as it's going in your body. So the satiety signal kicks in really quick. And again, the key here is fat. Fat is your friend when you're on keto. You want to have adequate amounts of fat, not gobs of fat, but enough fat to make you satiated. And here's how it works, you guys. You want to make sure that you have the carbohydrates reduced to your tolerance level. And so reduced means significantly down from what the standard American diet would be, which is around 300 grams of carbs. Some people might be able to do well at 100 grams of carbs. I cannot. Most people trying to be ketogenic need to definitely be below 50, and a lot of us need to be probably below 30 or below even 20 for some people. So when you keep the carbs reduced, you minimize the insulinogenic effect on your body, okay? So then you moderate the protein, and we talked about this on a previous Jimmy Rants. If you eat too much protein, it actually can stoke some blood sugar response, so you need to be careful about that. Not in everybody, and it depends obviously on the dosage of protein. If you're having 5 chicken breasts in one meal, that's a lot of protein. If you're having a 5-ounce steak, which has natural fats included with the protein, then that's probably okay. It's going to vary from person to person. But the point here is you should be able to have your keto meal, which is low in carbs, moderate in protein, and enough fat to satiety. So how do you define satiety? A lot of times people say, well, you talk about fat to satiety. Let's put it this way. If you eat your meal and within 3 hours after eating your meal, you're already hungry, you didn't eat enough fat. 4 hours, you didn't eat enough fat. 5 hours, you didn't eat enough fat, and or you ate too many carbs or too much protein. You should go at least 6, and I would even say upwards of 8 to 10 hours possibly between meals, and be very comfortable with that. And I'll tell you how a lot of ketonians tend to fall into their eating pattern. They'll wake up in the morning, and if they're hungry, then they'll eat breakfast. So they'll have a breakfast of, say, 2-3 eggs, a couple of slices of bacon, maybe an avocado, maybe some cheese, maybe some sauerkraut, something like that. They'll eat that at, say, 7 o'clock in the morning, okay? So then they're able to go all day long and not feel any hunger at all while they're doing their work day. And then they get home in the evening at around 5, and they eat around maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock, and they have a nice, sensible keto meal. So that's one pattern that shows satiety is at work, because you were able to go from 7 a.m. to almost 6 p.m., 11 hours between meals, and you should be able to do that very comfortably once you're keto adapted. Another strategy that a lot of people like to do, and this one's a little more preferred, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. Wake up in the morning, you're not really hungry, so you don't eat. Everybody thinks, oh, you have to eat breakfast. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I agree. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I just don't think it has to be at 7 or 8 a.m. in the morning. Your breakfast, that's all that word means, is the meal that you use to break your fast. Your overnight fast from while you were sleeping. So if your first meal of the day is at noon or 1 o'clock, then that is your break fast. So you could have a meal at, say, noon, and then again get home from work, eat again about 6 hours later, around 6 o'clock, and then what that does is that's an eating window of 6 hours, which enables your body now to have a fasting period of 18 hours between meals, because your last meal's at 6, you don't eat till noon the next day. That's 18 hours of an intermittent fast. And very interestingly, a lot of people spontaneously intermittent fast because they're eating keto, and they only eat a couple of meals like what I just described in a day. And so think about all those times that you were on other diets. So let's go to the low-fat diet, for example. Were you able to go long periods of time between meals eating a low-fat diet? I don't think so. Most people, they're clamoring for the next meal. And I remember I did basically a no-fat diet in 1999 and had done many low-fat diets. But 1999, I decided to do no-fat. It was the year my brother had 3 heart attacks in 1 week that nearly killed him at the age of 32. And so I took drastic measures, and I said, oh my gosh, fat is the enemy in my diet. So I took out all the fat. Well, when I did that, I was constantly hungry, constantly miserable, constantly angry. I now know why, because my brain needed fat and I wasn't feeding it. So satiety is a powerful, underappreciated benefit of going keto. Now, something else that contributes to satiety that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, because many people talk about having adequate amounts of fat. Even some people talk about the satiating effects of having adequate amounts of protein. But there's another element to satiety that, again, you get on keto in spades if you're eating real food. So I've got a new book coming out on November the 6th called Real Food Keto. And in there, we talk about this very issue. What is it? It's the micronutrition. So did you know if you're not sufficient in the micronutrients, meaning the vitamins and the minerals and the accessory nutrients that all go along with those things, if you don't have adequate amounts of all of those micronutrients, you'll possibly feel hunger from that. And so one of the benefits of eating real whole foods, quality sourced foods, is not just keeping the carbs low, moderating the protein, and eating more fat. That's one element of satiety. But another one is micronutrition. So this is why you hear me and other people talk about trying to source really good quality food. You want to have grass-fed beef. You want to have pastured pork. You want to have organic vegetables. If you can grow your own vegetables, that's good. If you can have your own backyard chickens like I do, that's another benefit where you'll get great micronutrition. I think all of these things are steps in the direction of trying to attain this holy grail of the perfect diet. And I believe the holy grail of a perfect diet is one that you have no hunger, you have no cravings, you feel completely satisfied, and you no longer have this hangry attitude where you must eat or someone's head is going to get bit off. We've all been there. We've all done that to people in our lives. And the reason we've done that is we weren't feeding ourselves properly. Most of the time in the past, it was two things. It was we didn't eat enough fat and we weren't getting proper nutrients. And here's another thing about the low-fat diet that's related to the micronutrition. If you don't eat fat in your diet, then you can have the most nutrient-dense, micronutrient-rich vitamins A, D, E, and K in your diet, but you're not eating dietary fats. None of those 4 essential fat-soluble vitamins will get absorbed by the body. They can't. They need fat in order to be absorbed. And so those of you that eat keto now, part of the reason that you start feeling better, that you take away hunger, that you're able to maximize your health, might be that you're finally able to absorb vitamins A, D, E, and K. Have you stopped and thought about that before? And that having adequate amounts of A, D, E, and K in your body is what's contributing to the satiating effects that you get from being on a ketogenic diet. So I wanted to come on this Jimmy Rants here today, talk about this least appreciated benefit of keto, because everybody talks about all the other great benefits that come from being in a state of nutritional ketosis, but I'm not hearing a lot of people talk about the satiating effects, the hunger zapping effects, the craving killing effects. All of those things, I think, are a lot more interesting than just about anything a low-fat diet could give you. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Welcome in, welcome in. Thanks for being here, guys. Number one thing I tell people who are interested in keto, satiety. It's so freeing. Kat, you're exactly right. And I think if we make that the headline rather than weight loss, and even before some of the mental health stuff, which I think is fabulous as well, I think satiety needs to be trumpeted a whole lot louder, which is why I'm doing this Jimmy Rants episode on it here today. My carb intake is less than 5 grams per day. I've been keto carnivore since June. Tracy does keto. Well, Tracy, you are certainly getting the benefits of satiety because you're minimizing the amount of carbohydrates that you're consuming to pretty much microscopic levels compared to most people. And you're probably getting adequate amounts of fat and protein from your carnivore diet. So kudos to you. Keto to live. Yes, that's how I do keto. Whole foods, grass-fed proteins, and quality great fats. That's the way to do it. And again, I think if we articulate it to people of, you know, every diet you've ever been on, think about it. You get hungry, right? You get irritable, right? You get hangry, right? You don't really feel like yourself. You feel like you want to bite your kid's head off, literally. But if you go keto, all of that goes away and you're the happiest person on the block. They won't believe you, but challenge them and tell them it's the satiety. The satiety is why you want to go keto. So guys, I am so happy to be doing these Jimmy Rants for you guys. It is a lot of fun to be able to come on here live on Instagram a couple of times a day, sharing from my heart about various issues in the world of nutritional health and specifically in keto. And if you haven't heard, we're doing this as a regular segment in the morning time and then in the afternoon time, Eastern time. And we are uploading all of the videos to YouTube So head on over to jimmyrants.com if you want to access all of the episodes that I've done. And then coming soon, we're going to have a Jimmy Rants Highlights podcast. So my podcast web guy is going to put together little snippets of about 10 to 15-ish minutes worth of content pulled straight from these videos that will be in podcast form. And everything will be housed eventually all under the same roof at jimmyrants.com. But if you follow me here on Instagram, I'm at Livin' Low Carb Man. For those of you watching on YouTube, go check it out and come follow me and come interact with me. I like seeing all the Ketonians come on here and share their thoughts while I'm ranting away wherever I am. Enjoy Health says another great benefit you can talk about in another rant is how your taste buds change. Almost a year into keto, I can't stand sweets. Talk about a craving killer. Yeah, and even sweets being too much, even you start accentuating the sweetness that's in natural foods. So I remember the first time, after I'd given up sugar for a long time, I remember the first time I had an almond. And I bit into the almond. It was raw almond. I bit into the almond and it was so sweet. I was like, wait, what? Almonds are sweet? I never noticed it before being sweet, but when you give up sugar and you change your taste buds, almonds are sweet. So it's pretty amazing how that happens. All right, guys, I am out of here. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Jimmy Rants, and I will be back again tomorrow. I'm traveling to Houston, Texas for the Low Carb Houston event, so lowcarbhouston.com for those of you in that area. I'll be doing my Jimmy Rants from there. So might be a little bit different times tomorrow because I'm not sure when I'll get in from the flight and where I'll be able to record, but we will definitely be back tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye.